Hello, everybody. I'm coming to you today here. You guys can totally hear me, can't you? Yep.
Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, that was awkward. Yeah, I am actually coming to you from the beyond. I fell asleep. I did not. Yeah. So I'm trying to get my chat to show up, guys. We are doing this together. I can see you guys. Let's try to do this, okay? Um, refresh maybe? Nope. I don't think that's working. Okay, that's fine. I don't need that to work. That was a great start, eh? So today, the Habs managed to win. What was it, 4-3? I promise I was paying attention. Uh, and they kept themselves alive. This was a must win. And they must won. Listen, let me refer back to my notes. I am in silly goofy mood because I have to be up. And well, I'm lying. I'm up all the time, but I'm not used to talking to people around this time. Um, so yeah, so my notes start with period one. Well, they look alive but sloppy. And I think that was the theme of the game. Um, I don't think there was any point in this game that they weren't trying. There were times where they were frustrating, and there were times where they didn't seem to be able to put it together, but they looked alive. And I feel like that's more than we could say for the last 40 minutes um of the last game, the Anaheim Hucks game, guys. Wow. Anaheim, and that's more than I can say for the Anaheim Ducks game. Um, I how are we feeling, chat? Well, Forgiev is indeed alive, as Bernardo says. Man, I watched Alexander Georgiev because I've been forced to, frankly. Um, uh, and there was definitely a time where I was like, I would even take 4 goals. Don't let in more than 4. But today all we needed were 4, and I'm grateful for it. It's it genuinely, I feel like if the guys were actually hitting the net, more would have went in because that's what happens when you shoot on Alexander Georgiev. Uh, but they weren't actually hitting anything. I feel like a lot of the game was just them rushing up the ice, making a play, a pass not connecting like right before the net or connecting and just dinging. Um, but you know, they had enough at the end of the day, and you know who does it? You know who does the thing? It is, you guessed it, Yoel Armia. Man, what a season for him. Oh, what a season for him. Um, this to think that like last season he was in the AHL and completely shocked about it by all accounts, didn't really, and totally fair because no like veterans are ever sent down there, but he was actually sent down there the way he deserved and he came back up, played, you know, sent back down. Then when he came back up, he pretty much has made himself such an important part of this team ever since. And this game specifically, I think really shows you why. Um, let's talk a little bit about the lines, some of the exciting new stuff we had going on. But also let's talk a little bit about just what that says about the state of this team. Um, First, I'd like to thank you guys for being here. I am not at my best form, and but you guys are here and it's very late, so I appreciate you. We've got all our usuals. We appreciate David stopping by. Hello, David. I know there'll be a lot of people probably rewatching this later, so I'm hoping to make it worthwhile for them, but you guys are my main audience because you guys kind of help me steer the show, especially when I'm alone here. Excuse me. Mm. So, thank you so much for stopping by. I promise to try to be as coherent as I can, but I also can't promise enunciation on the best of days. So, on today, I don't know. Why don't we start a little bit with Andrew coming in and saving my butt by showing you or telling you a little bit about one of our lovely sponsors, and I'll be right back.
We are so excited to tell you about our new partner here at Game Over Montreal, a delightfully witchy goth and glam jewelry store making handcrafted art that varies from subtle silver to gold pieces to glamorous bespoke. Inchoo Bijoux is more than just a company. They've built a community through advocacy and a welcoming attitude that has made them an institution here in Montreal. Located in the historic Chateau Saint Ambroise, Inchoo Bijoux also runs seasonal themed markets called Maleficarum Market or Marché Maleficarum en français, where artisans from all over get together and showcase and sell their wares. Drop by 4000 Rue Saint Ambroise, Suite 278, and say hi to Astrid and the Wicked team, or head to inchoobijou.com and enhance your style. The next Maleficarum Market will be on the weekend of February 8th and 9th. We'll see you there. Now, let's get back to the show, but before you do, make sure you subscribe to Game Over Montreal, Game Over Network, and smash like on this video because it really helps us out.
Thank you so much for letting me know. I was saying that I can't wait until I have money, maybe UL or Mia next contract money, so I can spend it on cool stuff like that, like in Chibichu. Um, so yes, I am back. I hope you can hear me now. I was so confident about going into that. So, I'm taking a look at my notes a little bit here. Oh, am I still muted? Okay, I know I'm on a bit of a delay. Delay? Bit of a delay. So okay. I hope you guys can hear me now. Okay. Sorry. That was a whole song and dance. Yeah. So I kind of just going through my notes a little bit. There's a few things. Thank you so much, everybody. So there's a few things that I want to touch on a little bit. Why don't we start with the exciting? I don't have a plan today. I'll be honest with you guys. Don't really have much of a plan, so I'm just gonna go with what interests me. And if you guys have any questions or any direction you want me to go in, let me know. I am happy to follow along. I'm very easily led. Um, yeah, Trinka did get me. That's what happened, but I appreciate it. Um, so let's talk line A. I think that's the big topic going into this game. Everybody was looking at the line, for, those who didn't get a chance to watch, I guess. I don't know. Uh, you would know if you were watching this game. So the line that was the big new line was the Armia, Evans, and Line A line. Um, and that was the fourth line, but I'm gonna check time on ice, but I would hazard a guess that that was probably the um third line, more or less. Just taking a quick look, time on ice. Um, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So it's about the okay, so the line breakdown today was that the first line, Slav, Nick, Cole, ended up being together for 12, a little bit over 12 and a half minutes, almost 13 minutes, which is how halves work. And then Kirby, Newey, and Anderson were 8.5 minutes. Dvorak, Beck, which let's talk Beck a little bit later. Gallagher were 8 minutes, and Line Evans, Villarmea were 8 minutes. So that's interesting. I was expecting the Ford to have played a lot more because they generally tend to, but also imagine that had something to do with the penalties. I don't know. Um, so what was I gonna talk about? Yes, Line A. I don't know how you guys felt, and let me know how you felt, but I thought that that line, once warmed up, was okay to good. Um, they weren't bad. I think that they definitely felt at the start like it was Jake Armia together, and then it was just like Line A added, which sounds obvious, but you know what I mean? Like it felt like the two were a duo, connected, and Line A was there and still trying to feel it out. But I think at the end of the by the end of the game, they had some sort of connection. They had some sort of understanding. But I do think that like Line A, you can see the mental side of things a little bit. I think he was doing the right things. I think um from what I was seeing, I don't think he was making like awful errors or anything like that. I think he was good. Um, I think he was okay. I don't think he was bad. Last game he was actively bad. Um, but he was nothing went in. Nothing went in. He was doing the right things. He was shooting. He was in the right position. Nothing really went in. Bernardo says Line looks so slow to react, though. That's the one thing is I keep seeing people describe Line as slow, and I wasn't necessarily seeing it on the second line. And I think the reason for that is Alex Newhook is so fast, such a speedy guy, that next to Alex Newhook, Doc and Line both looked slow, and Artem Basu and Marc Andre Godin of the Basu and Godin notebook talked about it a little bit about how Doc kind of also looks slow um, on that line. And I think it has something to do with like him kind of feeding off Line in a little way. But I think when Armia and Evans have such a good chemistry, and they know how to play together, and they don't have to think so much so that they can just play by instinct, and therefore they can play fast. Um, I just think next to them, Liney did look a little slow. Marc Antoine Godin. Sorry, Bernardo. Um, I honestly don't. I can't remember what phrasing that was outraged, but I'll take it. Um, listen, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Sorry. The demons inside of me almost won there for just a second. So I think Line looked fine. I do think that he looked like a man whose confidence was a little bit shot, and I hope he can get it back together. I believe he can. I just think that it's just really unfortunate that this timing of the power play slumping comes along with the second line not really understanding each other yet. And honestly, at this point, will they at any point? Um, and, Line A still not really falling into the rhythm of things. I mean, like at this point, I think he has, but uh the time that he missed with the flu, like everything like that. And then the team just in general being bad. Um, can someone tell me when Line 8 came back from the flu? Because I feel like it hasn't been too long, but also time is so fake. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Line A, that one moment, I guess what signified my Line A's like mental state to me, I guess, and not saying that in any sort of deep way of off ice, but literally in the game, mental state, um, is kind of that moment on the power play where he cradled the puck a little bit too long. And next thing we know, he's guys are able to block him on the power play when usually he would just shoot. Like he would no second thought shoot, even if it wasn't necessarily the best shot, because his shot alone is good enough? So I'm encouraged to see that I don't think he slunked, that he sulked. Yeah. I'm encouraged to see that I don't think Linus I don't think he pouted at all. I think he came into this game and did what he needed to, and you know luck didn't go his way, and you can definitely tell the confidence is a little bit shook. But ultimately, I think Marty will keep him on this line just because he's found a line that seems to work in the second line. Uh, so I don't know if he will want to necessarily shake the second line up, because man, Anderson looked good up there. The Anderson Doc New Hook combo just looked good. Because I feel like Doc used his speed a lot more when New Hook was using his speed, and Anderson's just a straight up skate at the wall guy, and it worked. Um, so yeah, I anticipate that maybe the next game, especially because they don't really have a practice in between, will still end up being the fourth line being what we saw today. Or the line is on being what we saw today, and the second line being what we saw today. So I think one thing Bernardo says is, I still think calling line lazy is itself lazy. Yeah, most of the time, I find that that kind of analysis of any player is lazy, but especially for like a player like Line, who people have an idea of Line, and then there's a Line that is, and then there's a Line at his peak. Um, Chris W says, I don't know if maybe pairing Line with Jake and Army is an attempt to improve his defensive game, since Jake and Army get a lot of those defensive responsibilities. Yeah, I think so. That's a really interesting, actually, kind of route to go down here, because those two play defensive minutes. They play kind of Marty's happy to put them out there when he needs to for uh heavy D purposes. Um um so because so you'd think that maybe Marty would avoid that because he doesn't want a guy who has Line who's had some questionable defensive moments to mess up that setup, I guess. But then also, if you think about it, it's not like Pizzetta was doing much up there. Heineman was the only like third guy to that, the two the guys that would that was actually doing anything defensively. And man, I miss him. I miss my sweet prince. I will be fighting the entire state of Utah. Um, because I will avenge you, Emil Heineman. I will avenge you. Um, Trinka says, or pairing lining with Evans and Armia is to let him just think about offense and they can supply the defense. Yeah, I think that's kind of what my idea of it was, but also it's an interesting thing. I'd like to later when I have a brain maybe look at like what defensive moments that line started in or if that they didn't. Was it Marty just putting Armia and Evans out there and then a random third guy? It's really interesting. I will I'm definitely going to be interested in that. Um that's hmm. Time of Ice is really interesting, guys, today. If you want to take a look, it's just fascinating to me. Um it's very evenly spread out. I'll say that. Um yeah, I think maybe there's a little bit of um the penalty kill had to be out there a lot. And man, Celebrini is sick, right? Like you get to see, like you saw that. I've seen him play a little bit because again, I watch games out west, but I feel like the teams that I was seeing him against were actually good teams that could block, um, that knew how to neutralize him a little bit more, but versus a team like the Habs who aren't, you can really see what he can do. Moments like that is when you really, really feel a little bit like the Habs just timing was rough for the tank. Um, and I think it wasn't really even a tank. I think it just kind of happens. Um, but Slav will be a monster. I have no doubt about it. It's just unfortunate that it's just unfortunate to see Celerini step in and completely manage to like not miss a beat. When our boy, and I love him, is just adjusting a little bit up and down, up and down the what everybody says about the trajectory of a player that has his profile. Bernardo says, don't forget Demidov. And you are right. I did just then. And I am grateful for the reminder because things could have been so much worse. King of the says Mike Haig. Um, that sounds vaguely familiar. Okay, so let me just I'm gonna let that I'm gonna refocus myself. King of the North says ice time should be evenly spaced out when you play back to back, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that's a really good call. I think that's why the ice time looks really evenly balanced. That would make a lot of sense because they're gonna have to save. Oh my God, our prospect, Michael Haig. I love my boy. I trust me. I like him. I like him a lot. That was just okay. Um, King of the North says he's the other first round pick from last year. I remember. I promise I do. Um, Chris mentions that time of ice wise, I was really surprised that every D except Matheson got under 20 minutes and Matheson got 27. Usually Lane and Carrier crack 20 minutes at least. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Um Oh, this is all 5 on 5. That's what I'm looking at. That's why this time of ice looks so insane to me. Okay, never mind. I'm a silly, silly gal. Um, it's still spread out pretty evenly. Don't get me wrong. It's still spread out evenly, but definitely less equitable the way I thought it was. You still have oh, that's really interesting. So you know what? I don't want to share my screen because I'm not sure if the people over at Natural Stat Trick will be okay with that. So I'm reacting to things you guys can't see, which I feel bad about. But essentially, what I'm looking at right now is the time of ice breakdown. I was first looking at 5v5, which is why it looked so even. But as I look at all situations, I see the lowest time of ice is Owen Beck, but Kirby Doc is the next at 12:28. But then it's Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Alex Newhook. Like they're all in the Brendan Gallagher and Josh Anderson are both 12:37. Then you have Newhook around 13. You have Jacob Evans around 14. Line A. I don't need to be reading all these out to you. Uh, but essentially, I am going to here. I'm gonna post it in the chat just in case you guys want to take a look, and you don't have to right now. Oh, I'm logged into the wrong account. Okay, give me a quick second. I will fix that because I do want to be able to share links properly, which I can't if I'm not in the right account. Um, Switch accounts really quickly. Okay, here we go. Just going to very quickly stall, I think, is what I'm doing right now. I think that's what the kids call it. Uh, usually a better staller than that. Am I? Oh, not really. Come on, let's be real. Not very good at being on my toes. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, I sent it in the chat just so you guys can kind of see later, maybe what I'm referring to. For those who are watching on a delay, I'm looking at naturalstattrick.com. And I'm looking at the game from today, obviously. And I'm just looking at the shift report. So, what am I? I'm fine, guys. I'm totally fine. I'm not gonna die. Um, okay, what do we want to talk about? Adam Glynling, Adam Glynlin. I hope that's better. Sorry. Lane Hudson, 1 point behind Bobby Orr in the best rookie defenseman seasons of all time. That is insane. Holy shit. Man, we're lucky, right? Like, oh my God, I forget that sometimes. That, he's sick. Lane Hudson is sick, isn't he? And it's so easy to look at other people's plates and, be really jealous of them, but he's sick, isn't he? Um, so that's really exciting. I'm just doing some quick checks for to see maybe what quotes we've gotten, if we've gotten any. Um, I'm looking at Priyanka Emirates feed right now. Um, oh, here's a fun fact. Is it fun? Says tonight both Habs, Alex Newhook, and Yoel Armia scored their 10th goal of the season. The last time the Go Habs Go had this many players with double-digit goals in a campaign was 2019-20. Yep. Yeah, that's great. Guys, can someone tell me if that's good? Um, okay, so now the rest of the feed is about Owen Beck. So let's talk Owen Beck, right? Um, he, according to these quotes, thinks that like tonight is his best game of the of the games he's played in the NHL, and he said his like confidence from the AHL All-Star game carried over, which is very funny. Um, the concept of a All-Star game confidence like carrying over to the actual like big leagues, but you know what? It works for him, and I'm not mad about it. Amy P says the presses were probably very short. They have to fly tonight. That would make sense. Yep. Um, yeah, King of the North points out that I thought it was cool that Slav, Beck, and Hudson played tonight, all a part of the same draft class by the Habs. Yeah, that's really cool. It's really cool that now we're starting to see the payoff of some of those like discourse that we had about what picks should have gone and when they didn't, and like did they mess up and was this a good pick, and like I think it's really cool that we're starting to see all that like pain pay off, because right now what we're seeing is the result of that very, very painful season. The surprise, Carey Price and Shea Weber are not retiring, but maybe, you know what I mean? And like that was a rough season, and it's good to see this. Ginnor says, I'm still a Mishar believer. Philip Mishar. Mishar? Mishar. Philip Mishar. Philip Mishar. I am also a believer. I think he's had some terrible luck, and I think it took him some time to get into the rhythm of things. But from what I understand, he's doing good stuff, and I'm happy for that. Um, and I believe in him, and I believe in his buddy buddy friendship with Slav, and it's very funny to me because he's small and Slav is big, and I am a simple woman to entertain. That does it. So let's. I put out a call for suggestions slash questions. I'll take a look at those later. I don't want to get too distracted right now. I say as I get distracted, but why don't I go back to my notes? Let's just so a funny bit that I have that's just for myself, but I think just makes me laugh every single time is when I take notes about the game. I'll always do like PK, and then I'll have bullet points, and then it's like PK and then indented extra bullet points like that are like this different shape. Anyways, point being, it always starts with PK and then it goes all the way down, and the bullet points then shift to regular like bullet points, and I im the last thing I always say is penalty killed exclamation point, and if it doesn't, we don't talk about it. Um, oh, David, if you're going to sleep, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Um, yeah, but penalty killed. This was not a great game for the penalty kill, was it? I mean, at first, was it? It doesn't really matter because would you rather your penalty kill? No, that's a stupid question. I was about to ask, oh, would you rather your penalty kill be bad, but the one that they're good in is um a shorthanded goal? No, you'd rather just your penalty kill not be bad and not letting goals. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, they did let in a breakaway goal in the penalty kill. That's just taking a look at the chat a little bit. Oh, interesting question by Outrage. Um, Outrage says, okay, so as an Avs fan, um, to me, do you think that with Hudson, Demidov, Fowler, that we could have a similar cup run as the Avs in 22, or are we missing something? That's a good question. Let me think about that. I think that I'm very pleased what the what the Habs are cooking in their prospect pool near the mid and the bottom of the lineup. In terms of one thing that the Habs, sorry, one thing that the Avs did very well on their cup run was having forward lines, and all of them were lethal. Um, and I think any balanced, like, even now, this god awful team looks good when four lines are going. So I think even a good team can look better with all four lines. So I think that's something that I'm pleased with, as I do think that this team has a good infrastructure. I think this team has built a good infrastructure for bottom six players. So I like that. I think we gotta. Here's the difference. Or one of the differences I am seeing. One of the big differences in the chat. Everybody mentions a McKinnon. Yeah. Um, maybe we'll have Demidov be a offensive weapon, but he's still not going to be a center. Um, and that's just not going to be a center. I don't know, I'm keep seeing people say that, oh, he can play center. I don't know, man. That immediately leaves me spectacle. Spectacle? People who say that wingers can play centers is something that leaves me skeptical because I've seen it play out too many times, but then again, I can admit I don't know enough about the way Demidov plays to say it won't work, but it maybe might not work. Um, I have now realized that I have not changed my overlay, although we have been in the second period very, very, um, quite a bit now. That's the third period. Okay, guys, not the greatest happening right now, but that's really just life. And it happens sometimes. So yeah, let's just on the second period as far as you guys are concerned. Um, so hmm, yeah. Yeah, we don't have a McKinnon, I think is what it comes down to. We're hoping that Demidov can be something like that, but we don't have a McKinnon. Um Uh, Amy P says the athletic reporter that wrote the book in 2022, Avs Cup, has said that that team was basically a buzzsaw. That is unlikely to happen again. Guys, I cannot explain to you how good of a team that was. That was a dominant team. It was a pleasure to watch. It genuinely was. It was one of those moments where like a season matched up with what the team did postseason. It doesn't always happen. You have these great teams just running through um the regular season, and then in postseason they stumble or something happens or injury or they get goalied for an entire like series. I It can be so many things, and but it just stars aligned and it was perfect. And you had like McKinnon playing defense and you had Makar doing his Makar stuff. You had ranting and stepping up, doing everything he could. Gabe Landeskog being the leader he is. You know, you have your resident old guy in Cogliano that like everybody was playing for. Your goalie was good enough. I think that's one thing about the Avs that I'm not sure people remember is their goalies really weren't like world beaters. It was Grubauer. Yeah, it was Grubauer and it was Frank Francouz. It was Grubauer and Francouz. And Francouz essentially came in when Grubauer got that injury. Um was it, oh my God, guys, was it Grubauer? I don't remember, but whoever it was, like that's what I'm saying. It wasn't such a memorable performance. Like if it was Grubauer or if it was like um another guy, it doesn't really matter because they weren't counting on that. They were just such a good team otherwise. So that's the Fowler piece to me that I'm maybe that makes up for the things that we're lacking, right? Like having like a goalie that we're hoping can be that kind of like game changer can make up for not having a McKinnon. Um, I've scratched my hand up really bad, which is why I keep looking at it. I'm so sorry. Um, I see people saying, um, Kemper, that's right. Ah, yeah, it was Kemper. And that's the thing, is like it wasn't like it was Kemper and it didn't matter. I can't even remember and it has nothing to like I remember that team like the back of my hand, guys. I promise you like that team is but apparently I don't remember the goalies. Bernard says Grubauer was busy being bad in Seattle. Yeah. Um that was now that I can read, like 15 of you told me it was Kemper. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah. That was actually, I'll tell you guys a story. So my cousin, I don't want to say favorite cousin in case any of my other cousins are watching, but one of the cousins I'm really close with, she got married that day that the Avs won the cup, and I was not able to watch most of the game, which really sucked, but like I would have rather been there for her. Um, but essentially at the end of the event, by then I had like my cousin's phone out, just like watching them. And at that point it was just I believe I saw the last like minute or so. Um anyways, that team was a pleasure to watch. It was Peter Baugh, by the way, guys, who wrote that book that Amy was telling me Amy was saying in the chat. And he was such a good writer. He's such a good writer. He got details on Nathan McKinnon, which is how you know he got a good writer in. Chris, everybody's saying I'm cooked, and I kind of am. Chris says we're all cooked. We're here and it's 2 a.m. That is so true. That is so true. We are all listen, I mean for us Eastern Standard Time people, if you're here at 2 a.m. and you're watching a post-game show about a hockey team that isn't even all that good, you know, I'm not saying that there is something, we're all jokers here, you know. Um, and it was a pleasure to see Tampa get knocked out and Kucherov be an absolute baby. God, he was goddamn awful. He was such a cry baby and he was so pouty and like awful body language and awful behavior and just man, that guy sucks, right, guys? That guy sucks. Okay, so I'm going to shift over to the third period slash questions answers, but I think you guys really just we've been question answering this entire period. But first, I'm going to yeah, his diaper was full and the throwing of the gloves. Yeah, those are the things I'm specifically thinking about. But first, I am going to pass you guys over to pre-recorded Andrew and Le Saint Motel.
Looking to make awesome memories with your friends? Take some promotional pictures or videos for your business? Check out Le Saint Motel in Montreal's Sud-Ouest borough. It's an amazing selfie studio located in Montreal's historic Chateau Saint Ambroise, right next to Inchoo Bijoux. It boasts 12 plus unique decors for you to enjoy and make memories with. Hop into their iconic heart-shaped ball pit, or transport yourself back in time to Expo 67. The Saint Motel can also come to you with mobile decor setups available to rent for events, including setup and takedown, or you can head to lesaintmotel.com right now for more details, or to check out their amazing decors that are always being updated. Now, let's get back to the show, but before you do, make sure you subscribe to Game Over Montreal, Game Over Network, and smash like on this video because it really helps us out.
I'm back from the void. Uh, didn't didn't leave, didn't die. Which is genuinely all we can ask for sometimes, guys, right? Am I right? Um, okay. What direction? Oh, hi, Wendy. Uh, Wendy says this is a Southern Californian Habs fan. I'm loving this road trip, but I'm sorry to everybody who has to stay up. Honestly, I'm a sicko. I'm genuinely a sicko. I love hockey. I'd be up anyways. If I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't working, like I would still be up. Um, and yeah, happy to be here. And I'm so glad you could join us. I love this is one of the fun things about road trips like this. Like I know that like for Eastern people it's a little harder, but like I'm a night owl, and if anything, it helps us kind of talk to some of our people who can't be here live all the time. So hello, Wendy. Um, like this says we all make choices, which we really do. Um, so sorry. You know, I should have taken a sip of water while Andrew was talking, looking very handsome. Uh, but I forgot. Look, at a certain point, I feel like that was just stalling. So, sorry, that was like the longest gulp of water I've taken. Um, hey. Amy asked, "What do you think about the lines?" So I did touch on this earlier in the show, but I like them. I think that they're worth going with. Sorry. I like those lines. I am sorry. I'm being so fucking yeah. Anyways, I like those lines. I like that they didn't break up the first line, and you know, Josh Anderson's like entire body might be dead, but he's working on there, so I'm not mad about it. Um, no, Amy, I'm glad to repeat myself. Genuinely, also really didn't talk about most of the lines. I just talk about line A. But I like the lines. I feel like it worked, and I would like to see them build on it. Um, the reason why I took such an extra long sip was I was trying to remember if it's tomorrow's game or the next Habs game that I'm having Ian and Laura from Locked On Canadiens on. So yeah, it's the next game, the Saturday one, versus the Devils, which I'm not looking forward to because the Devils are the Devils. And I'm not a fan of their fans, and I'm not a fan of how good they are. So the two things kind of add up. So I'm just going to read back a little bit. I think you mean today's game. Bernardo, I don't remember. Hello, Ty, our ghost, our guest from Game Over, Winnipeg. Mark says I realized it's already 3 a.m. for you guys. Yeah. Um, yeah. Listen, I'm always up around this time, most of the time, unfortunately, but I'm never talking to a person, and right now I'm talking to several people, so that's life, baby. Sometimes you end up in places doing this, and you're here. Okay, I'm gonna read back a little bit just to see if there's anything we haven't covered that you guys would like me to cover. Um, I'm truly yapping like I have nowhere to be or nothing to do. I mean, I don't, but like sleeping, but who cares? Just gonna read back a little bit. King of the North actually talks a little bit earlier when I mentioned the cursed year that like Price and Weber were sacrificed to the void, I guess, and was our awful season. King of the North adds that Deneau was gone that season too. Yeah, man, I feel like the biggest, other than the team itself, but like the biggest person that had to deal with the consequences of Deneau being gone is Nick Suzuki. I don't think he was ready for the minutes he had to play that he could have probably avoided if Philip Deneau was playing in the lineup. But also the way that year went, like Philip Deneau, wow. The way that year went, Philip Deneau probably would have like tripped over something and like comically injured himself in some sort of way. Um, So I see a little bit earlier we were talking about a having a steady defenseman next to Lane Hudson kind of being that piece. Yeah, I think that's where they're hoping Reinbacher is. I think in a pinch that they're putting Gooley there, but I think ultimately you want Reinbacher there um on the top pairing. But I don't know what Engstrom's game is like. So Adam Engstrom down in Laval, for those who don't, know. I know because I don't necessarily watch Laval games, but I keep up with people who keep up with Laval. So Adam Engstrom has been doing like rock star shit down there. And he's emerged as a great candidate for our right side. So that's really cool. Shut up. Bernardo says, no, it's fine. They had Christian Dvorak. Mark Bergevin, you are going to hell for that goddamn move. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine now. We're nearing the end of the Christian Dvorak experience. This is last year. Maybe we'll get like a is he left-handed, Bernardo? I don't think he's left-handed. Sorry, I think we're talking about Engstrom again. Um, I'm not sure. Uh, anyways, yeah, that was a panic trade by Bergevin. Um, Chris, Chris says they'll turn Reinbacher into a forward. Yeah, if you saw the the practice notes, the practice lines that they put out last practice, Reinbacher's playing in place of or he's practicing in place of Josh Anderson because Josh Anderson is being held together by duct tape, masking tape, scotch tape, reflective metal tape, whatever that is. You got some like black like electronic tape there. There's a lot. It's a lot of tape. It's a lot of different tape, but it is still tape. Um, what's my favorite kind of tape? Nobody asked, but I'm gonna tell you. I forgot painter's tape. Painter's tape is a thing. Um, I think my favorite tape might be I forgot double-sided tape, hockey tape. Oh my god, yeah. Um, this is really hard, guys. Masking tape. I'm a masking tape girly. Um, Chris says they shove him in an ice tub and only let him out during games. This is about Josh Anderson. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he puts himself in that ice tub. I'm not even sure he can put himself in that ice tub. I'm sure like Arbor carries him there, like bridal style, and puts him in the tub, and then they just go on the plane. They put the tub onto the plane. It's all very hard to do with the ramp and everything, but they manage. Um, I don't tell me your favorite tapes, guys. Tell me your favorite kind of tape. Um, I'll do a tier list for my tapes. I don't mind. I mean, I'm gonna be here late tomorrow night too, so we'll have tape talk if that's how you guys want to have it. Um, so I am doing a quick check to see I didn't miss anything. Um, okay. I probably shouldn't. Okay, really quickly. I think we're about ready to end. Drop any questions if you have them. I don't know. Uh, oh my God, Pride Tape? I can't forgot Pride Tape. Can't forgot Pride Tape. Can't believe I forgot Pride Tape. My God. Um, Scotch Tape. Yeah. Man, there's a lot of tape. Hypothetical like hockey, like not hockey tape as in like hockey stick tape, but like the tape that they show players to like talk about opponents or what you should do better. Does that count? Like that's hypothetical tape, right? Either way, it's not my favorite because homework, right? Um, Bernardo, I am. I was purposely avoiding that question actually. Bernardo says, "Who would you root for in a Habs and Avs final?" See, the smart thing about me is the two teams that I love dearly with my heart are not only in separate conferences, but are also completely separate levels of competitive. The their windows are not going to overlap, so I don't have to worry about that. And I'm never going to answer that question because I don't want to. It depends on whom people are being more mean about in that case, I think. Um, I'm happy with, sorry to go back to this again, but I'm happy with Line. Um, that shorthanded goal Jake Jake Evans and Yoel Armia duo, the Jarmia duo, sick, right? Actually, so really quickly, I do want your thoughts on this. So, on the Godin and Basu and Godin notebook, um, I'm not gonna give it away because this was a Substack like exclusive like subscriber episode, but something that like um Arpin Basu mentioned was the idea of trading Evans and Armia as a package. Um, and like what the two of them coming with built-in chemistry, both of them being absolute studs on this penalty kill, like, their contracts is expiring. Like it's just it makes sense, but I don't want it. But I do think that could give us a sick return. Um, I also think it leaves your penalty kill completely dead. Like it leaves your penalty kill absolutely dysfunctional. Josh Anderson, let's say the tape holding him together is working at that point. Um, even then, he's not enough. Chat is pretty, pretty determined on that being a no. That's a that's a heavy no. And you know what? The part of me that uh is who I am does not want that either. Frankly, at this point, I know it's such recency bias, and I know it's unlikely because neither of these guys are gonna wanna probably take contracts that like deals that will make this feasible for the Habs. But um but I really want both of them. And I know it's recency bias and I know it's not um realistic, but ideal world, I don't know. Maybe we keep both of them. I'm being so wishy-washy with this because I know that we need to make space for our the young guys. We need space for them, obviously. Um but what if we kept all the players I really love and then we didn't give away any of the prospects we love? And then we were a really good team, and then we won the thing, and then, we could see Nick Suzuki lift the thing, and then maybe, I don't know. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Wendy says that I was at the Anaheim game, and I still can't believe I saw a Yoel Armia goal in real life. I am jealous of you for that specific thing. I'm sorry that they did what they did for the rest of that game to you, but that's sick. That's so cool. I'm again really happy for him. That's interesting. Outrage says it's not about the returns, it's a bird in hand. What does that mean? Is that a saying that I don't know? Um, uh, Bernardo says, imagine they trade them and Heineman comes back. It would be like the Will Smith in an empty house meme. Yeah. He'd be like, guys, where are they? Um, Speaking of, I think we are probably closing in on when Heineman is due back, which I'm really excited to see him. I'm not sure what they'll do with the lines at that point. I think Owen Beck, as great as he was today, um, I do think he goes back down. Uh, but I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. Okay, one thing I want to touch on really quickly, and this isn't hockey related, it's politics related. Um, this is a very, very bad timeline. Um, it's it's hard out there. A lot of vulnerable people are being hurt a lot by an administration in the States that doesn't care about anybody except rich people. And it sucks. It genuinely just it feels so simple to say it sucks, but it does, and it's not fair and it's not right, and the power structures in our world are just completely robbing the average person. Uh, and if you're a Canadian watching this, I just remember that like we're not immune to this. You know, we've got a guy who echoes a lot of the similar sentiments, and there's not a insignificant amount of the population that seems interested in him. A lot of the polls kind of have him ahead. So remember to be active in your community, to support one another, because that's all we have. We have each other, and that's all we can do. Remember that, like, remember that none of these people who like divide you by the by things that don't matter, really at the end of the day, they're all just watching out for each other at the top. They don't care. They don't care about you as the average person. I'm I don't know. I know this isn't a very coherent um kind of little talk, but my I like to say that my politics are rooted in love. Um I seek a happy world, a loving world, a world that um, cares and allows itself to be human, because we're all so isolated from being human, and just reduced to our what we can do, what we can produce, what money we can make. And I don't, yeah. Anyways, my point being, my politics are driven by love. And it's hard. It's really hard when there's so much hate and you genuinely feel like it's hard to love, but just remember that you and your people are all you have. And we can only be involved in your community, and I don't mean that necessarily in a political way, even in your local community. Just care for the people around you, your neighbors, talk to them. attend gatherings in your city, even if it's not politics, if it's just something you care about, make connections. Make connections. That reminds you to be human, and I think that's really important. And that's kind of where I'm gonna cut this off. So yeah, outrage tells me a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. In other words, don't risk what you have because if you risk what you have, it might bite you in the butt. Yeah, I guess that's true. I wouldn't. It's a risk you take with any trade. So yeah. Trinka says a boat is a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Yeah, I think it's a little. I don't want to say greedy because it's well, it's also like it also makes sense if like we think neither of them are going to sign a contract. But also to be fair, I do think that they should do their best to sign one of those guys, Armia or Evans. And as much as it pains me to break up Jarmia, um, they just we need one of them. And for my sake, we need one of them. Because I will commit crimes. If that's a joke, I will not commit crimes, but I will be very, very sad if both of them leave. Um, I am quick to fall in love with our players. I am quick to become fond of guys. I am like sue me. I like being a fan of the people I'm watching and I like the stories and I like cheering for people. And even I even have, talked myself into not even talked myself, but I found myself being charmed by David Savard. Uh when in the past he would just frustrate me, at this point, I'm like, "That's a guy. Like, that's just this guy who came back to Quebec and he wanted his kids to speak French again because he didn't want them to keep speaking English, or, like, exclusively speaking English, and he came back, and now he's, like, just a loud, bearded dude who blocks shots and puts his body on the line and screams snacks and makes weird noises, and it's just the dad. The defensive dad, because Mike Matheson is your cool defensive uncle, who makes questionable life choices sometimes, but like he's sick, right? Like he's sick. What are you gonna do? Say no to your uncle? Come on. Um, okay. So it's very clearly getting to a point where I cannot keep going, because I will say something that not even that I don't mean, but something that like just isn't a reality. Um, yeah. Yeah. Um, okay. I think I'm going to log off. I will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. And I don't know. I'll probably watch this back tomorrow and give a good sense of how this went. Because right now it feels great. Like I know it was a little silly, but I feel fine about it. I feel like it was nice. But that could also be the fact that it is 2:37 a.m. right now. Okay. So, love you guys as per always. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys stopping by and Bernardo's right. It is technically today. So yeah. Good night. Love you guys very, very much. And go Habs, go.